lot. Told him fuck 12, fuck SWAT. Busting all the bells out the box. I just hit the lick out the box. Had to put the stick in the box.
What's going on with the Raw Review gang? It's your boy Raw Reviews, and today we're gonna be talking about Mustangs. So let's get into it. So when I say we're talking about Mustangs, I mean, of course, one specific generation. And of course, like I said, you know, every time, if it's any vehicles you all want me to talk about, or you know, anything that specifically you want me to talk about, anything past, present, future, anything, leave it down in the comment. Follow you down there, like, subscribe. It just means everything for me. You know, me being able to share myself with just, you know, you all. Like, it's a blessing. It took me a lot to come out of this kind of this shell that I was in for a long time. So, you know, it does mean a lot when you all interact with me and things of that nature. So I appreciate you all. I know I don't say it, but I do. So yeah, new Edge Mustangs, 99 to 04s. We talk about just that generation. It was solid. It was a solid generation. It was not anything that you would think, you know, was crap or anything of that nature. It was definitely a solid generation. Anybody in their right mind, when they kind of see a new Edge Mustang, you have to kind of think twice, because you don't know what to really, you know, expect when you see it. So it's kind of like, okay, well, let's take it slow and see how it would go. So the first thing I kind of want to touch on is styling. The styling of the new Edge Mustang is pretty much went above and beyond to me in that era of Mustang, because it wasn't your traditional look for a Mustang. That's when they kind of introduced that sharper look when it came to like how we view certain things. And in that era, it wasn't, you know, a lot of sharp looking cars. I mean, you kind of had the Camaros, you had your Firebirds and things of that nature, but you didn't have a vehicle that looked anything like that. You know, a two-door Mustang that, you know, if you didn't know what it was, it would blow your doors off, depending on models and things of that nature, which we'll touch on in a second. But yeah, just looking at the Mustang and just kind of seeing how it was. It was definitely a beautiful styling for that era, and I have to give it to Ford. You know, Ford being the brains behind it, it was definitely not, you know, nothing short of a success. I mean, I have to give it to them. You know, so yeah. All right, so let's talk about performance. The 99 and 2000 model came with a base engine, one base engine, which was the 3.8 liter V6. With that motor and things of that nature only pushing 190 horsepower and 220 pound-feet of torque, it, you know, it wasn't, of course, nothing to brag about. The only time that motor really changed was in late 04 with the 3.9 liter. And the 3.9 only, you know, I mean, it changed from, when it changed from 2000 to 2001 to 2004, the 3.8 got bumped up to 193 horsepower and 225 pound-feet of torque. And then in 04, then that's when it went to the 3.9 liter with still 193 horsepower and 225 pound-feet of torque. But it was only fitted for the second half of the 04 new Edge Mustangs. But then quickly, the 3.9 liter was actually replaced by the 4 liter V8. So when that happened, then, not V8, I'm sorry, the 4 liter V6. The 4 liter V6 then came out 05. And then when that came out 05, that kind of made it, like I said again, nothing to write home about, but, you know, definitely an improvement if you wanted more power. But then we get into what happened later, which was the 4.6 liter V8. pushing out 260 horsepower and 302 pound-feet of torque. These engine figures and these numbers and things of that nature, I mean, to a lot of people, they just sound like nothing, you know, but for someone who is a performance head, someone who's really into performance, this is something that you really want to know. These are numbers when you go into a car lot and you look for a car and you say, man, I really want this car. That's probably the first question you ask is, how much horsepower does it have? So I definitely understand it because I'm one of those guys. But next we're going to get into the models of the new Edge Mustang. So from 99 to 01, it was the Cobra, okay? Because we talked about the basics. Now we're talking about the models. You had your Cobra. The Cobra with a 4.6 liter dual overhead cam V8, pushing out 320 horsepower and 317 pound-feet of torque. And this is not the start, but the independent rear suspension, you know, that of course people say, oh, what Mustangs are known for. But it was a great thing at the time, and it was still a great thing. Like I said, when you see one, you do a double take. You don't just look past it, because it's definitely something to look at. So then we moved to 2001. No, I'm sorry, 2000. We go to 2000. And 2000, because a lot of people asked that. A lot of people asked, like, why wasn't there a 2000 Cobra or anything of that nature? Well, this is why. Because 2000 brought in the SVT platform with the SVT Mustang Cobra R. Now, I'm not saying like strictly SVT came in at this point, no. What I'm saying is SVT came into the new Edge line with the Cobra R. Brought it in with a 5.4 liter dual overhead cam V8. 385 horsepower, 365 pound-feet of torque. This is in 2000. Just let that sit for a minute. Like, this wasn't a car for someone that just was looking for a car. This isn't the 16-year-old's first car. No, this is that person that wants to go mainly to a track, or you just have that itch that, you know, desperately needs to be scratched when it comes to performance, you know. And my only thing about this car was how simple it looked, but how powerful it was. The thing had Brembos, man, like 4-piston Brembos all around. Like those, like when you think of Brembos now, you know, you hear it on these high performance vehicles. This was in 2000, and this was not common, you know, like people wasn't putting Brembos just on anything, you know, but you needed that stopping power. So that's what they went. So then another one in 2001, the infamous Bullet Mustang. As far as everything kind of goes with this, I don't know if people know the background of it, but 1968, Steve McQueen. It was a movie that came out, and a lot of people, you know, like I said, probably wouldn't know about it. But in the movie, Steve McQueen drove an 01 Bullet Mustang. The Bullet Mustang, 265 horsepower, 305 pound-feet of torque. The color on this car, timeless. You couldn't. It was 3 different colors, but you couldn't knock the fact that the green that you saw this car with was the most significant. You know, this is for kind of like my people that really are in tune with movies and collector vehicles and things like that. That's what this kind of car is for. You know, this isn't the beater car. This isn't the one that you go and speed around in. No, this is for the, you know, your grandfather or your great grandfather, the person that collects vehicles. This is for him. So in 2003, Ford decided to bring back one of their design cues from, well, I believe the 60s, if I'm not mistaken. The Mach 1. The Mach 1 New Edge Mustang. I mean, 4.6 liter dual overhead V8, pushing out 305 horsepower, 320 pound-feet of torque. The thing is, with this car that made it so significant was not only the history behind the Mach 1. It was a great looking vehicle. You could not mistake it for anything else. When you seen it, you instantly knew what it was. But the Mach 1 came with something that we're kind of so known with now, which is a shaker hood scoop. And for people, you know, that don't know what the shaker is, well, when you turn your car on, it's a part in the hood that will physically shake because it's your motor. It's the top of your engine that's poking out of the hood scoop, and it will be shaking. You know, that's pretty much the functionality of it. It was, you know, mainly it was for air and things of that nature, but it was kind of like just the cool factor of knowing that you had a car that you could see the motor shaking through the hood. It was, you know, just timeless. It was one of those things that's timeless. Like, if you see it now, you will still think like, man, like, it's timeless, man. You have to you have to love it. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you like a certain brand or anything like that. You have to give it up and understand that that's a classic, man. Anybody knows it's a classic. And, you know, like I said, I'm not here to argue. I'm not here to do anything. These are just my thoughts and opinions on these different topics, you know. So, yeah. Now, last but not least, 2003 to 2004 SVT Mustang Cobra, aka the Terminator. We knew what you probably think on this video for. We knew, we all knew, we did. Packing a 4.6 liter dual overhead cam V8, pushing out 390 horsepower. 390. That's not slow at all. But a lot of people don't understand that, because when we think about these, you know, horsepower figures we have now versus then, well, you know, people's like, oh, well, that's nothing. Yeah. But it was. With it having the Eaton M-112 supercharger, sorry, I know. It was definitely something to listen as well. A lot of people that are car enthusiasts, people like, you know, me and other people I know, we thrive off of car sounds, man. You know, yeah, okay, your car might be fast, but it doesn't sound good when it's moving, you know, like, that's what I thrive off of. I'm definitely a seer, and I'm a listener. So when you hear a supercharger pass you, I don't care if you're a turbo guy or a supercharger guy, both sides have to give it up to both, because it's definitely a sound from both sides that you have to hear, whether it's just the whistle of a supercharger or you hearing the turbo spool up on the vehicle. It does not matter, you know. It's very special to hear both. And I mean, I'm glad that I'm even able to be in the realm of talking about these type of cars, because it's just what I like. It's my passion, you know. So yeah, man. So all in all, man, like I said, you know, my personal preference when it comes to New Edge Mustangs, if I could find one, if I could find like a clean Mustang GT, you know, I mean, honestly, I think I would lose it because the things that you can do to these vehicles, there's so many aftermarket things for these cars, any car, but like really these cars, because I've seen them, I see them everywhere, and they all look so different, and that's what I like. I love a car culture that can be different, and things aren't the same, because it gets boring. When it's the same, it gets boring. I don't care who you are, you know, but when it's the same, it gets boring. You don't want to sit there and look at it again. So, yeah. But anyway, this is going to conclude the video. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, give it a like. If you didn't, hey, thumb it down and tell me why you didn't like it. But, you know, like I say to everyone, no matter if you're in person or just watching this video, God loves you. And God bless to everyone. And yeah, man, I'm out. Peace.
Pulling out the coupe at the lot. Tony for 12 for SWAT. Busting out the bells. Pulling out the coupe at the lot.